Pterosaurs were flying lizards that were related to dinosaurs, but not the same species. They lived in prehistoric times, long before birds took over the skies. They were huge in the air and on land, with mouths with fanged teeth and huge crests. Their wings were the size of planes. Some flew down like monsters from above, while others slowly crept along the shore. These were the real scary people who lived in the sky in ancient times. Quetzalcoatlus, the giant that blocked out the sun. In the 1970s, paleontologists found the fossilized remains of Quetzalcoatlus in the Big Bend area of Texas. They were shocked to see what they were looking at. This wasn't just another flying animal. It was the world's biggest known bird of prey. With wings that were over 10 meters long and some figures going up to 12 meters long, Quetzalcoatlus was about the same size as a small airplane. Imagine being in a field as this huge thing flies over you. The sky would seem to dim, and its shade would cover the ground like an eclipse. Today, there isn't a single eagle, condor, or albatross that even comes close to being as dominant in the sky. Despite its staggering wingspan, Quetzalcoatlus was no fragile drifter. Its body was built with the unique engineering of pterosaurs, hollow bones that were light yet strong, a muscular wing membrane supported by an elongated fourth finger, and a long, stiff neck topped by a sharp, spear-like beak. This design allowed it to take flight with a vaulting leap, using all four limbs like a powerful catapult. Once airborne, it could soar for hours, riding thermal currents with efficiency that modern gliders only dream of achieving. But Quetzalcoatlus was not merely a majestic glider, it was a hunter. Fossil evidence and biomechanical modeling suggest that it likely behaved less like a pelican and more like a stalking stork. Instead of skimming oceans for fish, it is thought to have prowled inland plains, riversides, and floodplains, towering above other animals on the ground. Standing at nearly 3 meters tall when folded on its legs, it would have looked like a giraffe crossed with a reptilian predator. From this height, it could peer across wide stretches of land and strike down at unsuspecting prey. Its beak was a lethal tool. Long, toothless, and narrow, it was designed to snatch up small dinosaurs, lizards, or even juvenile mammals with surgical precision. Imagine being a creature no bigger than a dog in the late Cretaceous. You could be crushed or swallowed whole before you even noticed the giant shadow looming above. And unlike many predators that relied on brute strength, Quetzalcoatlus used its size and patience. It could stand for long periods, waiting for prey to come close, and then strike with terrifying speed. The sheer size and power of Quetzalcoatlus make me wonder how something so huge got off the ground in the first place. The answer is in how it makes its start. Birds use their legs to move, but pterosaurs used a quad launch, which meant they pushed off the ground with both arms and legs in a vaulting action. This meant that Quetzalcoatlus could jump into the air like a live missile, even though it was very big. Once it was in the air, it didn't have to flap its wings very much, because it could glide on warm air currents for hundreds of kilometers at a time, saving energy. Its presence in Cretaceous ecosystems would have been terrifying. Smaller pterosaurs and birds could not compete in the same hunting grounds, and land animals had to constantly remain alert when near water sources. Some scientists argue that Quetzalcoatlus may have even scavenged carcasses, its massive size allowing it to muscle other predators away. Whether stalking, scavenging, or gliding above, it was an apex predator of the air, an almost untouchable ruler of its realm. Its name, Quetzalcoatlus, which comes from the name of an Aztec god and means feathered serpent, is already impressive. It makes me think of godlike beings that looked like dragons and ruled both the sky and the earth. And this ancient giant is a great example of that in many ways. It was as close to a story come true as evolution could make a reptile that could block out the sun, drop from the sky without notice, and eat its prey without any resistance. Still, Quetzalcoatlus died around 66 million years ago, just like all the other giants. It's likely that it died in the same terrible events that wiped out the other dinosaurs that weren't birds. For tens of millions of years, though, it was without a doubt king of the skies. Imagine living on Earth with such a thing hovering over it. You would be in awe and fear all the time. Hatzegopteryx, the apex predator of the skies. Life was different in the woods and floodplains of Transylvania in the late Cretaceous. The area used to be an island called Hateg Island, where development happened in a way that wasn't like it is now. In other parts of the world, huge sauropods and scary predators ruled. But in this isolated environment, tiny dinosaurs, smaller plant eaters, and strange adaptations developed. Hatzegopteryx, a pterosaur so huge and scary that it changed what scientists thought flying lizards could do, lived in the sky above this strange land, and didn't follow the island's trend of getting smaller. Hatzegopteryx was a close relative of Quetzalcoatlus, but in many ways it may have been even more fearsome. Its wingspan rivaled that of a small aircraft, around 10 to 12 meters. But what set it apart was its staggering strength. While most pterosaurs had long, delicate necks built for fishing or snatching small prey, Hatzegopteryx had a neck like a battering ram. Its cervical vertebrae were thick and reinforced, built to withstand enormous stress. This anatomy suggests a creature capable of subduing prey, not just with speed, but with brute force. Think of a huge animal that is almost as tall as a giraffe when it stands on all fours and has a beak that is as long as a person is tall. Now give it the strength to kill animals with a single lunge that is almost half its size. Hatzegopteryx was the worst thing that could happen to the tiny dinosaurs that lived on Hateg Island, like Magyarosaurus, a small sauropod. It was tall enough to loom over them as it crept along the ground in silence. Then it could strike very quickly, grabbing them in its teeth and crushing them. Another unsettling thing is that Hatzegopteryx probably didn't have to fly very often to rule its surroundings. Based on fossil reconstructions, it seems to have been very happy lying on the ground and walking with long, stalk-like steps while waiting for chances to sneak up on its prey. Some of its cousins were better at long-distance flying than it was because of how strong it was, but it didn't need to cross seas to stay alive. Everything it needed was close by on its island home. It wasn't so much a migrant glider as it was a terrifying creature that could take to the air when it needed to. The head of Hatzegopteryx was equally formidable. Its skull could stretch more than 3 meters in length, wide and robust compared to the slender skulls of other pterosaurs. The sheer size of this weapon suggests it could tackle prey far larger than fish or small reptiles. Some paleontologists even suggest Hatzegopteryx was the apex predator of Hateg Island, filling the role that would normally be held by large theropod dinosaurs elsewhere in the world. This would make it one of the only known flying animals in history to claim top predator status on land. It makes you wonder about the everyday lives of other animals on the island in a frightening way. Smaller dinosaurs probably had to be on high alert all the time because they knew danger could come from above or sneak up on them from the ground. On the mainland, even the biggest animals would have been too small to defend themselves against a hunter that big and strong. Hatzegopteryx didn't need poison, claws, or ways to hunt in groups. The fact that it could fly gave it an edge over other things. In many ways, Hatzegopteryx shatters our modern perceptions of flight. Today's largest flying bird, the wandering albatross, reaches a wingspan of about 3.5 meters, barely a third of this predator's reach. The largest predatory bird alive today, the harpy eagle, preys mainly on monkeys and sloths, creatures far smaller than itself. But Hatzegopteryx, it could potentially kill animals weighing hundreds of kilograms. To imagine such a creature soaring above you is to imagine a living nightmare, a fusion of dragon and titan with no equal in the skies. Even the way it launched into the air was terrifying. Like other giant pterosaurs, it likely used a vaulting quad launch, exploding upward with all 4 limbs. For animals nearby, this sudden eruption of power would have been as startling as it was deadly. A beast the size of a giraffe vanishing into the air in seconds is not just remarkable, it's unsettling, a reminder that in the prehistoric world, the rules of possibility were stretched to their limits. Hatzegopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus Both died out in the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period, but the skeletons that show its strange shape are still around. Most birds of prey are thought to be graceful, delicate, or fast, but Hatzegopteryx was not like those animals. It was made of muscle and bone that had been rearranged into a monster that lived in both the sky and the ground. For the people who lived on Hatzeg Island, that shadow wasn't just something far away. It was death itself, creeping up on them quietly until it hit. Pteranodon, the icon with a deadly edge. Most people think of one name when they think of an ancient bird of prey, Pteranodon. Its picture has been used as the default pterosaur in museums, texts, and many movies for many years. It has long wings, a beak without teeth, and a striking crest on top of its head that makes it look both strange and beautiful. But what many people don't know is that Pteranodon was more than just a famous shape. It was also a skilled hunter, an excellent survivor, and one of the best flying hunters of the late Cretaceous. Pteranodon first appeared around 86 million years ago and thrived until about 84 million years ago, dominating the skies of what is now North America. Fossils have been found in abundance, especially in the chalk deposits of Kansas, where ancient seas once stretched far inland. These remains tell us that Pteranodon was no small creature. It reached wingspans of over 7 meters, with some individuals nearing 10 meters, rivaling a small aircraft. Imagine standing on a shoreline and seeing one glide overhead, its wings cutting across the horizon like a living kite. Unlike many other pterosaurs, Pteranodon had a beak with no teeth. At first glance, this might make it seem less threatening compared to its toothy cousins, but its toothless beak was a perfect adaptation for its lifestyle. Pteranodon specialized in fishing, much like modern pelicans or frigate birds. It would soar above prehistoric seas, scanning the surface for schools of fish, then swoop down with precision to snatch them up in its long, pointed jaws. Its lightweight skull and aerodynamic crest balanced its head during dives, turning it into a deadly spear when it struck. That crest, perhaps Pteranodon's most famous feature, wasn't just for show. Fossils reveal a wide variety of crest shapes and sizes, with males generally possessing much larger ones. Scientists debate their purpose. Some argue they acted as counterweights for the long beak during flight, while others suggest they were visual displays used to attract mates or establish dominance. Either way, the crest made Pteranodon an unmistakable figure in the skies, its silhouette unlike any modern animal. To its prey, that distinctive shape meant one thing: danger from above. Life for Pteranodon was not just about hunting. Its size and abilities made it a true master of its environment. With long, narrow wings, it was built for soaring, not flapping. Once it caught a thermal current, Pteranodon could glide for hours with minimal effort, covering vast distances over open water. This efficiency gave it access to rich feeding grounds, far beyond the reach of smaller competitors. It was not limited to the shorelines. It was a deep ocean hunter, able to follow fish migrations across ancient seas. But Pteranodon's dominance wasn't just about its ability to catch prey. It was also a survivor of an environment teeming with predators. The seas it hunted were home to mosasaurs, giant marine reptiles that could reach lengths of over 15 meters, and sharks that rivaled modern great whites. For a Pteranodon, diving into the water carried risks, as any mistake could turn it from predator to prey. This is why it evolved with such precision. Each dive had to be fast, efficient, and followed by a rapid ascent back into the safety of the skies. Its habit of nesting adds another disturbing element. Fossil evidence shows that Pteranodon probably laid their eggs in huge groups along hills or beaches. Imagine thousands of these huge lizards swarming along the shore, beating their wings together and making noises that can be heard over the water. Large predators gathering in such large groups that they blocked out the sky would have been too much for smaller animals to handle. In these kinds of groups, males must have been in a fierce battle for mates. The tallest crests and biggest animals would have been in charge. Though popular culture often depicts Pteranodon as a passive glider, In reality, it was a highly adapted predator. Its aerodynamic design, long-range hunting skills, and dominance of oceanic skies made it one of the most formidable flyers of the Cretaceous period. For fish shoals, smaller pterosaurs, or even juvenile land animals caught too close to shore, the appearance of Pteranodon overhead meant sudden death from above. Thalassodromeus, the blade-headed hunter. Thalassodromeus is the pterosaur that looks the most like it came straight out of a nightmare paintbook. This Cretaceous hunter was found in Brazil's fossil-rich Santana Formation. It had a crest on its head that was so big and strange that scientists haven't been able to figure it out for decades. Its name means sea runner, but to the animals it hunted, it might have meant blade from the sky. Thalassodromeus was one of the weirdest and scariest birds that ever flew over the seas in ancient times. Its wings were almost 5 meters long, and the top of its head was bigger than its body. The most shocking feature of Thalassodromeus was, without doubt, its massive headgear. The crest extended from the tip of its beak backward in a great sail-like blade, making up 2/3 of the entire skull. Some reconstructions show the crest towering over the body like a sword jutting into the air. While the function of this crest remains debated, several theories paint it in an equally frightening light. Some scientists believe it acted as a stabilizer during flight, keeping its long beak balanced during sharp turns and dives. Others argue it was used in fierce combat between males, slamming into rivals with the force of aerial jousters. And perhaps most haunting of all, many suggest it was a visual weapon, an intimidation tool, making the pterosaur appear twice as large and twice as menacing when gliding against the sun. Its hunting style was no less nightmarish. Thalassodromeus had a long, pointed beak designed to snatch prey from the water's surface. Fossil evidence suggests it was capable of skim feeding, much like modern skimmers, slicing its lower jaw through the waves while flying low to catch fish and small marine creatures. But unlike modern birds, which are limited by size, Thalassodromeus had the wingspan, strength, and aerodynamic build to cover far more ground. To a shoal of fish, the sudden shadow of its enormous crest and wings would have been a death sentence, one that struck silently and without warning. Yet this pterosaur may not have confined itself to the oceans. Its strong, sturdy jaws could have also been used to capture small terrestrial animals when opportunities arose. Paleontologists speculate that it was versatile, able to switch between hunting fish in lagoons and preying on small reptiles or dinosaurs along shorelines. This adaptability made it especially dangerous. Whether you lived in the water or on land, Thalassodromeus could be the predator waiting above. The skull structure of Thalassodromeus is another clue to its power. Despite its huge crest, the bones were lightweight yet reinforced, built like the struts of a bridge. This meant that the crest, far from being a fragile ornament, could withstand the stresses of flight and possibly even combat. For rival males, the sight of two Thalassodromeus clashing in aerial duels would have been a terrifying display. Wings beating, crests colliding, beaks snapping, all while suspended in the open sky. This animal would have been a sight that people would never forget. Imagine being on a beach from ancient times and seeing one glide over you. The sun shines on the blade-like top, which casts a long, dark shade on the sand. Its wings move quickly and quietly through the air, and before you know it, it swoops down and grabs a fish from the water with surgical accuracy. Then, with a few smooth flaps of its wings, it disappears into the clouds, leaving only the water rippled and the unsettling memory of what you saw. The most bizarre thing about Thalassodromeus is how different it looks from current airplanes. This makes birds today, even the biggest ones, look weak. They depend on their feathers, moving, and not very big beaks. Thalassodromeus, on the other hand, had a huge bare head, flexible wings that spread out like a glider, and a beak that looked like a blade. It shows a stage of development that changed flying into shapes we can barely recognize. It was a time when the skies seemed to play around with making monsters. Tropeognathus, the jaw of terror. Paleontologists knew they were looking at the remains of a hunter built to scare when they first found Tropeognathus fossils in Brazil's Santana Formation. This pterosaur lived in the early Cretaceous period, about 110 million years ago. Its wings were almost 8 meters across, which made it one of the biggest flying killers of its time. Tropeognathus was different though, and not just because it was big. Its jaw was lined with sharp, hook-shaped teeth that made it look like a dragon come to life. Its very name, meaning keel jaw, refers to the prominent ridges running along the tips of both its upper and lower jaws. These ridges formed a kind of bony blade, which, combined with its long rows of teeth, made its beak a dual-purpose weapon. Imagine a predator swooping down toward the water, jaws open wide, teeth gleaming like a row of fishhooks. Once it closed its mouth, anything caught inside would be trapped, snagged by those curved fangs with no hope of escape. Tropeognathus specialized in fishing, patrolling the warm lagoons and shallow seas of South America. Its wings allowed it to glide effortlessly over the waves, scanning for the silvery glint of fish schools below. When the moment was right, it would dive low, skimming the surface, and snatch up its prey with precision. Unlike modern seabirds that swallow their catch while airborne, Tropeognathus's large size and heavy beak suggest it may have needed to land, or at least steady itself, before consuming bigger prey. Still, its jaws ensured that even slippery fish had no chance once caught. But to picture Tropeognathus only as a fisherman undersells its menace. Some scientists argue that its hooked teeth and strong jaws made it versatile, allowing it to tackle more than fish. Small reptiles, amphibians, or even young dinosaurs wandering too close to the shoreline may have fallen victim to its ambushes. With a wingspan longer than a bus, this predator could easily intimidate most creatures, swooping silently and striking before they could react. The way it looked would have been alarming. The jaws were more than a meter long and had teeth that fit together and curled inward like a cage. Its head looked like a sword with sharpened edges because of the sharp, blade-like shape of its bony ridges. With wings that made the sun darker when it flew over, Tropeognathus would have been a living nightmare for anything below. Its size also meant that Tropeognathus had few natural enemies. While giant marine reptiles like plesiosaurs or early mosasaurs may have posed a threat in the water, in the skies it reigned supreme. Smaller pterosaurs could not compete with its reach, strength, or hunting efficiency. This dominance is reflected in the abundance of its fossils, suggesting it thrived for millions of years as one of the top predators of its ecosystem. Tropeognathus breaks the mold between what we know as pterosaurs and what we think of as dragons, which I find very interesting. It had flexible wings that were held up by a single long finger. When it flew, the wings stretched out, giving it the shape of a mythical creature. Its toothy grin and jaws that look like blades finish off the trick. A long time ago, people told stories about monsters that could fly, and Tropeognathus would have been the perfect example. Like other pterosaurs, it relied on a quad-launch method to take off. Even with its massive size, it could vault itself into the air by pushing off the ground with both arms and legs. Once airborne, it hardly needed to flap, using ocean winds and thermal currents to stay aloft. This efficiency gave it range, allowing it to patrol large stretches of coastline and dominate hunting grounds without rival. Dsungaripterus, the hardshell cracker. Many pterosaurs ruled the skies as fast fish hunters or tall land stalkers, but Dsungaripterus found a very different, but just as scary, place to live. This Chinese pterosaur lived in the early Cretaceous period, about 120 million years ago. It wasn't just fast or sneaky. Shells were some of the toughest protection in ancient times, so the animal's jaws changed to be able to break through them. Dsungaripterus was a skilled hunter that turned armored prey into easy meals. It had wings that were about 3 meters long and a head that looked very different from the rest of the body. Unlike the long, elegant beaks of many of its relatives, Dsungaripterus had a short, upturned snout, tipped with no teeth at the very front. Instead, rows of sturdy, blunt teeth lined the back of its jaws, perfectly designed not for slicing, but for crushing. This peculiar design reveals its diet: mollusks, crustaceans, and other hard-shelled animals that populated ancient rivers and coastal ecosystems. To modern eyes, it might resemble a reptilian nutcracker, snapping down on prey that most predators would have avoided. The power of its bite was key to its survival. Picture a clam or turtle basking in a lagoon, safe from most hunters thanks to its protective shell. For Dsungaripterus, that armor was no obstacle. With a quick snap of its jaws, it could crush the defenses of crabs, snails, or shelled fish, shattering them into bite-sized fragments. Fossil wear patterns on its teeth support this, showing that they were worn down over time by the constant grinding of hard food. This specialization made Dsungaripterus a terror to creatures that other predators left untouched. Dsungaripterus wasn't just threatening because of how it ate, though. Its head had a unique crest running down the middle, which gave it a strange, almost weapon-like shape. The animal's crest may have helped it mate or tell different species apart, but when put together with its strong jaws, it made it look scary. Few animals living at the time could match that terrifying mix of flexible wings, a hammer-like head, and a bone-crushing bite. Its hunting strategy likely made it a common sight along prehistoric shorelines. Unlike the wide-ranging soarers like Pteranodon or Ornithocheirus, Dsungaripterus probably spent more time close to the ground or water, stalking through mudflats and sandbars like a monstrous heron. Its strong, stocky body suggests it was well adapted for walking as well as flying. Imagine wading near the shallows, only to see a shadow descend, wings folding as the creature steps forward, beak snapping down on an unsuspecting crab. It would have been a routine terror for coastal ecosystems. What made it especially effective was its versatility. Though it specialized in hard-shelled prey, Dsungaripterus could have easily supplemented its diet with softer-bodied animals when available. Fish, amphibians, or even small reptiles may have occasionally fallen victim to its crushing bite. This flexibility likely gave it a survival advantage, allowing it to thrive where other, more specialized predators might have struggled. In many ways, Dsungaripterus shows how pterosaurs were used in a huge range of genetic studies. Some developed huge wings and beaks without teeth, but this one, like others, went the other way and specialized in brute force and crushing jaws. It tells us that the skies in the past weren't all the same. They were full of predators that were able to survive in all kinds of places, from open seas to rocky shores. For armored animals of the Cretaceous, Dsungaripterus was an unrelenting menace. Their protective shells, which had safeguarded their ancestors for millions of years, suddenly meant nothing in the face of this specialized hunter. The sound of a cracking shell in a coastal lagoon may have been the signature of its presence, a chilling reminder that even the best defenses can be broken when evolution designs the right weapon. Tupuxuara, the demon-crested flyer. Tupuxuara was the kind of pterosaur that looked like it was made to haunt dreams. The Santana Formation in Brazil is where this flying lizard was found. It lived in the early Cretaceous and had one of the strangest and scariest head crests in prehistoric times. Its name, which comes from a native Tupi word that means demon or familiar spirit, is perfect for it. Tupuxuara was a scary sight in the Cretaceous sky. It had wings that were 5 meters long and a head with a crest that looked more like the blade of a war axe than a natural feature. The crest itself dominates nearly every artistic reconstruction of this creature, and for good reason. Stretching high above the skull and back over its head, the crest gave Tupuxuara a silhouette unlike any other pterosaur. Theories about its function abound. It may have acted as an aerodynamic stabilizer, a heat regulation surface, or a sexual display used to attract mates. Whatever the case, one thing is certain. The sight of this massive crest slicing across the horizon would have been both alien and menacing. To smaller animals, the shadow it cast may have seemed like the shadow of a demon descending from above. Unlike toothy pterosaurs such as Its sharp beak-like jaws were adapted for tearing flesh or grabbing prey, and its lightweight skull meant it could strike quickly. Scientists believe it may have been an opportunistic feeder, taking fish, small reptiles or carrion when available. Some suggest that it may have played a role as a top scavenger in its ecosystem, its fearsome crest intimidating competitors into retreating from carcasses. Imagine a pack of smaller pterosaurs circling a dead dinosaur on a beach. Then Tupuxuara swoops down, its giant crest towering over the others, scattering them with sheer presence before tearing into the prize. Its body was equally well built for a predatory lifestyle. With long, narrow wings, it was capable of efficiently soaring, covering large distances in search of food. The structure of its skull and beak suggests it may have even hunted inland, stalking smaller animals much like modern storks. In this way, Tupuxuara combined versatility with intimidation, thriving across both marine and terrestrial habitats. Whether you were a fish in a lagoon, a lizard on the ground, or a rival scavenger in the air, this demon-crested flyer was a constant threat. The cultural implications of its appearance are fascinating as well. Indigenous myths of Brazil often describe sky spirits and monstrous beings, and while these legends are not directly tied to fossils, it's hard not to draw a connection. For any human stumbling upon the fossilized skull of Tupuxuara centuries later, with its enormous blade-like crest, it would have looked like the remains of a beast from a legend. Its very name keeps that association alive, the demon of the skies. Tupuxuara also shows how far crests could be pushed in pterosaur design from the point of view of evolution. Many species had very fancy clothing, but the Tupuxuara's was even the most unusual. The fact that this trait emerged and stayed put says that it was useful, whether for sexual selection, scaring off predators, or flying. In that sky, control wasn't just about being able to kill, it was also about how well you could put on a show. Some predators used their showmanship to get food, mates, and territory. To witness Tupuxuara in its natural habitat would have been a deeply unsettling experience. Imagine standing on the edge of a Cretaceous lagoon as the creature circles above, its crest gleaming in the sun. Its cry pierces the air, echoing across the cliffs as smaller pterosaurs scatter in fear. It swoops down, its wings slicing the air, its crest cutting a demonic outline against the clouds. Few animals could resist such a spectacle of both beauty and terror. Anhanguera, the hook-toothed marauder. The Santana Formation in Brazil is full of fossils of a hunter that seem designed to do one thing: hold its food in a grip that it can't get out of. The name Anhanguera comes from the Portuguese language and means old devil. It was a pterosaur from the early Cretaceous. With wings that are 4 to 5 meters long and mouths full of highly curved teeth, it lived up to its scary name. Some pterosaurs counted on being fast, sneaky, or big, but Anhanguera had a much easier plan. People who got caught in its jaws didn't make it out alive. The most captivating aspect about Anhanguera was its long, nearly meter-long head, which was full of teeth that curled inward like fish hooks. These weren't spread out evenly across the jaws. Instead, they were mostly in the front, making a natural cage. If a fish or small animal got caught, it was impossible for it to get away. The more the prey fought, those hooked teeth dug in even deeper. It's easy to picture this dangerous animal swooping low over a pond, its jaws snapping shut like a trap, stopping a fish in its tracks as it tries to escape. Anhanguera's beak wasn't just lined with deadly teeth, it also featured ridges along the top and bottom, giving its skull a serrated appearance. Combined with its sharp curvature, this made the jaws resemble a deadly set of pliers designed by evolution for precision strikes. Its lightweight but powerful frame allowed it to dive and maneuver with skill, ensuring its catches rarely missed the mark. Fossil evidence suggests that Anhanguera thrived as a coastal hunter. Its remains are found in sediments that once formed warm, shallow seas teeming with fish. It may have employed hunting techniques similar to modern seabirds like pelicans or gannets, soaring above schools before plunging down for the kill. Unlike pelicans, however, Anhanguera lacked a throat pouch. Instead, it relied on its toothy jaws to secure prey mid-flight and either swallow it whole or carry it off to consume later. Its eyes, positioned high on the skull, likely gave it a wide field of view, crucial for spotting prey from above. With long, narrow wings suited for gliding, Anhanguera could cover vast stretches of coastline in search of hunting opportunities. It wasn't a flapping endurance flyer, but a master of soaring, riding air currents while keeping its deadly jaws ready for action. In a world where competition was fierce, this efficiency kept it one step ahead of rivals. The most dangerous thing about Anhanguera is how well it would have been able to hunt different types of animals. It probably ate fish the most, but it may have also eaten small lizards, frogs, or even baby dinosaurs that were near the water. Because its teeth were bent and its lips were strong, it could eat different kinds of food. It was very dangerous in places where food and water changed with the seasons because it could adapt. Its place in the Santana Formation's ecosystem also tells a story of constant aerial conflict. The region hosted multiple large pterosaur species, each with specialized feeding adaptations. Where Tropeognathus dominated open water with sheer size, Anhanguera perfected the art of trapping prey in close quarters strikes. This meant that for smaller pterosaurs, sharing the same airspace could be dangerous. Fossil evidence shows that bite marks on pterosaur bones sometimes came from other pterosaurs. Could Anhanguera have turned its hook-toothed jaws on rivals in moments of desperation? It's a possibility that paints it not just as a fisher, but as a cannibalistic sky marauder when times grew harsh. Visually, Anhanguera must have been unforgettable. Its silhouette, wings stretched wide, jaws open, teeth gleaming in the sunlight, was the very picture of aerial terror. For smaller creatures near the water, its shadow would have been a signal to scatter, though often too late. Even modern predators rarely combine such an obvious arsenal of teeth with the grace of flight. Anhanguera did both, blending elegance and lethality into one form. Cearadactylus, the dragon of Brazil. Some ancient animals got their fearsome reputations by being very big, while others got theirs by having too many of them. But Cearadactylus is famous in fossils because it has strange jaws that look like dragons. Scientists are still not sure how it did this. The pterosaur was found in Brazil's Santana Formation in the 1980s. It lived in the early Cretaceous period, about 110 million years ago. Even though there aren't many of its bones left, what we do know about it makes it seem like a mythical killer. Cearadactylus was mid-sized compared to some of the titans of the sky, with a wingspan of around 4 to 5 meters. Yet it didn't need immense size to leave an impression. Its skull was long and narrow, but what set it apart were its jaws. Instead of neat rows of evenly spaced teeth, like many fish-eating pterosaurs, Cearadactylus had an irregular arrangement of long, fang-like teeth that jutted outward at odd angles. Some pointed forward, others sideways, creating a nightmarish cage-like trap. To anything swimming below, the sight of this predator swooping down meant certain capture, the jagged teeth ensuring that prey couldn't wriggle free. This adaptation raises an intriguing question. What exactly did Cearadactylus hunt? Most evidence suggests a diet of fish, like many of its pterosaur relatives, but the unusual tooth arrangement hints at a more specialized strategy. Perhaps it used its forward-pointing fangs to spear fish close to the water's surface, or to scoop up multiple small creatures in a single snap. Others propose that its jaws may have helped it grip larger, more slippery prey, like squid. Whatever the case, its mouth looked like something torn from folklore, a reptilian dragon with a smile designed for terror. Its name only adds to that aura. Cearadactylus translates to Ceara finger, after the Brazilian state where it was found. But in popular imagination, the jagged teeth and elongated skull give it the look of a dragon, the kind that might have inspired myths if humans had ever encountered it. For ancient fish and marine reptiles, however, this was no myth. It was a predator from above, striking silently and efficiently. The shape of Cearadactylus's jaws also gave it a strong advantage in its environment. The prey that tried to thrash free only lodged itself deeper between the crooked teeth. It was the equivalent of nature's barbed hook, a living fishing lure that turned the seas of the Cretaceous into its personal hunting ground. For other pterosaurs in the same region, like Tropeognathus or Anhanguera, this meant direct competition. Cearadactylus survived not by being bigger, but by being stranger, evolving a design no other predator had attempted. The fact that its fossils are so rare gives it an air of mystery. Cearadactylus is a rare pterosaur that has only a few fossils to show for it. With each new find, more questions than answers have been brought up. Was its tooth shape unique to one species, or did it reflect a larger group of hunters with strange adaptations? Could it have used its strange jaws for more than just hunting? Cearadactylus is not only a creature of science, but also a sign of how little we know about the air in the past because of the missing pieces of proof. Its long wings stretched out as it soared over a tropical lagoon, crest catching the wind, jaws agape to reveal those dagger-like teeth. The image is less bird-like and more monstrous, resembling the dragons of human imagination more than any animal alive today. For smaller pterosaurs, seeing this silhouette overhead would have been reason enough to scatter. Ornithocheirus, the global predator. Ornithocheirus is one of the few pterosaurs that really seems like it had traveled the world. Its name, which means bird hand, sounds very simple for an animal that ruled the skies in the early Cretaceous, about 110 million years ago. Ornithocheirus is unique not only because of its huge size, wingspans of 6 to 7 meters, but also because fossils of it have been found in many different countries. Pieces of this animal have been found in England and Brazil, showing that it wasn't limited to one environment. The animal instead lived all over the world and left its mark on almost every part of the prehistoric world by riding the winds across the seas. At first glance, Ornithocheirus looked like many of its close relatives. Long, narrow wings built for gliding, a sharp beak lined with pointed teeth, and a body streamlined for efficient flight. But closer inspection reveals details that made it especially effective. Its beak, for example, was elongated and tipped with a slight keel, a ridge that may have helped it stabilize during hunting dives. Along its jaws, sharp conical teeth jutted outward, perfect for seizing slippery prey. To a school of fish swimming near the ocean surface, Ornithocheirus was a deadly shadow capable of striking with surgical precision. The discovery of its fossils across such a wide geographic range tells us something remarkable about its lifestyle. Ornithocheirus wasn't a creature tied to one coastal region or freshwater lagoon. It was a true oceanic wanderer. Much like modern albatrosses, it likely spent most of its life soaring over vast seas, returning to land only to rest or breed. This kind of lifestyle requires extreme efficiency, and Ornithocheirus had it in spades. Its long, narrow wings minimized drag, allowing it to cover enormous distances with minimal effort. For millions of years, it reigned as a master of the open skies, far from the safety of the shore. The dangers it faced were very real. The seas of the Cretaceous were home to colossal marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs and early mosasaurs, as well as sharks that grew larger than any alive today. For Ornithocheirus, swooping down to snatch fish was always a gamble. Miss the catch, and you risked becoming prey yourself. This constant threat likely honed its efficiency, making every strike a calculated, near-perfect act of survival. Each successful dive fed not just the predator itself, but perhaps even colonies of mates and offspring waiting on distant cliffs. In the history of paleontology, Ornithocheirus is also very important. For a long time, reconstructions of it were wrong, often showing it to be much bigger than it was. In early science drawings and even in popular media, it was shown as a huge flying creature on par with Quetzalcoatlus. In fact, it was smaller but still very scary. These exaggerations made its mythical reputation even stronger, solidifying its image as one of the most dangerous birds of prey of its time. But even if you take away the exaggerations, the truth is still amazing. A predator that can cross continents and make its way into ecosystems thousands of kilometers apart. Its role in the ecosystem was equally important. By feeding on schools of fish, Ornithocheirus would have influenced the dynamics of marine life on a massive scale. As a global wanderer, it connected ecosystems that might otherwise have remained separate. In this sense, it wasn't just a predator, but also an agent of ecological balance, shaping life beneath the waves through its relentless aerial patrols. It would have been incredible to meet Ornithocheirus. Just picture standing on the rocks of a long-gone beach and seeing its outline on the horizon. At first, you might think it was a huge bird, but as it got closer, its tough wings, sharp teeth, and ridged beak would show you what it really was. It would then dive quickly and skim the surface of the water, snapping its jaws shut on a poor fish as it went. It would then rise again into the endless blue. That thing wasn't just in one place. It belonged to the whole world. Nyctosaurus, the sky spear. Some pterosaurs were scary because of their size, others because of their jaws, but Nyctosaurus is amazing just because it is so weird. This mid-sized pterosaur from North America lived in the late Cretaceous period, about 85 million years ago. At first glance, it looked like any other pterosaur, until you saw its head. Its top was a huge structure in the shape of a giant Y, sometimes bigger than the body itself. It rose like a skeletal sail. Nyctosaurus must have looked less like an animal and more like a spear thrown through the sky by people living in the past. With a wingspan of about 2 meters, Nyctosaurus was not a giant compared to Quetzalcoatlus or Ornithocheirus, but its bizarre anatomy made it unforgettable. The skull crest was the most extreme feature. 2 long prongs, one projecting straight back, the other rising vertically, forming a spear-like shape that dwarfed the head beneath it. Some reconstructions suggest the crest could reach nearly 1 meter in length, almost comically oversized compared to the rest of the body. But this was no accident of nature. This crest must have served a vital role in the creature's survival. Theories about the crest's purpose range from the practical to the spectacular. Some scientists suggest it acted as a stabilizer during flight, helping the animal balance its head and body. Others argue it may have supported a soft tissue sail, creating a colorful banner used in displays. And of course, sexual selection is a likely factor. Larger crests could have signaled health, dominance, or attractiveness to mates. But regardless of its exact function, the crest gave Nyctosaurus an unmistakable silhouette, one that could terrify competitors and impress potential partners in equal measure. Nyctosaurus also had a simpler wing structure than many of its relatives. It lacked some of the extra fingers seen in other pterosaurs, giving its wings a more streamlined look. This suggests it was highly specialized for gliding over open seas, much like modern seabirds. Fossil evidence places it in environments that were once shallow marine habitats, where it would have hunted fish and squid. With narrow wings and a lightweight frame, it could soar for hours, using minimal energy to patrol the Cretaceous coastlines. Its hunting style likely mirrored that of frigate birds or terns today. Nyctosaurus would have scanned the water from above, then swooped down to grab prey near the surface. Unlike pelicans, it didn't have a pouch to scoop fish, but its sharp, pointed beak was perfect for precision strikes. The skeletal structure suggests it wasn't built for walking on land much, so it probably spent most of its time in the air, only coming to shore for nesting. In essence, it lived its entire life aloft, a true master of the skies. But the thought of that huge crest cutting through the air is what terrified people the most about Nyctosaurus. Imagine a group of these creatures flying over a Cretaceous lake. Their strange headgear would catch the light and make scary shadows on the water. For old prey, seeing these flying blades would have been scary. They would have been a warning that danger was not only in the water, but also in the sky. Only a handful of specimens have been found, yet each has deepened the fascination around this creature. The sheer impracticality of its crest seems almost unbelievable, yet evolution preserved it, proving it gave a real advantage. In life, it would have been both a predator and a living spectacle, proof that natural selection could produce designs more bizarre than any human imagination. Rhamphorhynchus, the tail-spike phantom. Cretaceous pterosaurs, with their huge heads and crests, ruled the air, but other species had already made a name for themselves as animals that could fly. Rhamphorhynchus, a long-tailed pterosaur that flew over Europe in the late Jurassic period about 150 million years ago, was one of the scariest and most distinctive. Rhamphorhynchus had a unique weapon, a stiffened tail with a diamond-shaped fan at the end. This was different from later cousins that had beaks without teeth and short tails. Because it had sharp teeth and thin wings, it looked like a ghost flyer that would strike quietly in the dusk sky. At around 1.5 meters in wingspan, Rhamphorhynchus wasn't enormous compared to giants like Quetzalcoatlus, yet its design made it a deadly and efficient predator. Its long jaws were lined with sharp forward-pointing teeth that interlocked at the front like a set of spikes. These were perfect for catching and holding slippery prey, especially fish. Fossil evidence shows that its stomach contents often included remains of small marine animals, confirming that it spent much of its life hunting over coastal waters and lagoons. For fish and squid of the Jurassic seas, Rhamphorhynchus was a shadow of death swooping silently from above. Its most distinctive feature, however, was its tail. While many later pterosaurs evolved shorter, more efficient tails, Rhamphorhynchus retained a long one, stiffened by bony rods. At the tip was a vein, shaped like a diamond or kite, that acted as a stabilizer in flight. This feature gave it an edge in precision maneuvering, allowing it to twist and turn as it chased prey or avoided rivals. To onlookers, the silhouette of that long tail trailing behind its wings must have looked ghost-like, like a dart or spear suspended in the air. The fossil record of Rhamphorhynchus gives us rare glimpses into its actual behavior. Exceptionally preserved specimens show wing membranes, soft tissue, and even traces of its flight muscles. Some fossils even capture frozen moments of predation. One famous specimen depicts a Rhamphorhynchus with a fish lodged in its throat while itself being swallowed by a predatory fish. This snapshot reveals just how perilous its lifestyle was. Hunter and hunted in the same instant, caught in the unforgiving cycle of prehistoric survival. Even though it wasn't very big, Rhamphorhynchus probably moved in groups. Large bone beds with the remains of more than one person suggest that they met in groups along old coastlines, maybe to nest or go hunting together. Imagine being on a beach in the Jurassic period and seeing dozens of these animals take off. Their tails are stiff and veins flash in the sun as their wings beat as they launch into the air. It must have been very scary to hear the sound of leathery wings flapping as the sky filled with ghostly shapes. Compared to later pterosaurs like Pteranodon, Rhamphorhynchus was even scarier because it had teeth. Its jaws looked like a natural bear trap, making it very hard for food to get away once it was caught. With its ability to glide and control its tail, it was a hunter that did well in shallow water, where there was plenty of food and a lot of competition. Crocodiles, sea reptiles, and bigger pterosaurs may have been able to hurt it, but Rhamphorhynchus did very well because it was quick and agile. The long jaws filled with fangs, the kite-shaped tail vein, and the shadowy flight path over moonlit seas would have made it a figure of nightmare for any creature below. Unlike some pterosaurs that relied on intimidation through size or display crests, Rhamphorhynchus achieved its terror through sleek, efficient design. It was the phantom of the Jurassic, blending into the skies until it was too late for its prey. Dimorphodon, the fanged bat of the Jurassic. Dimorphodon is one of the oldest pterosaurs fossils that has been found. This creature has puzzled and scared paleontologists ever since Mary Anning found it in the English rocks in 1828. About 195 million years ago, in the early Jurassic, Dimorphodon lived. It was very different from the graceful, long-winged birds that lived later. It looked more like a scary bat than a sleek bird when people think of pterosaurs because it had short wings, a big head, and rows of sharp teeth. Dimorphodon must have been a nightmare for animals of the time because it could attack from the ground and the sky. Its very name, meaning two-formed tooth, reveals its unsettling dentition. Unlike many later pterosaurs that developed toothless beaks or uniform rows of teeth, Dimorphodon's jaws contained two distinct types. At the front of its mouth were large, fang-like teeth designed for piercing and holding prey, while further back were smaller teeth suited for slicing. This combination gave it a versatile bite, capable of tackling a wide variety of prey. Fossil evidence suggests Dimorphodon likely fed on fish, small reptiles, and possibly even early mammals or insects. In other words, anything smaller than itself was on the menu. Its skull, nearly half a meter long, was disproportionately large compared to its body. This oversized head, combined with a relatively short neck, gave Dimorphodon an intimidating appearance, almost cartoonishly menacing. The massive jaws could snap shut with force, and the sight of those front fangs flashing in the dim light of dawn or dusk would have been enough to terrify any small creature nearby. Flight for Dimorphodon was different from that of its later relatives. Its wings were relatively short and broad, suggesting it wasn't a long-distance glider like Pteranodon or Ornithocheirus. Instead, it was likely adapted for quick, clumsy bursts of flight, similar to how modern bats maneuver in forests or caves. This would have made it an ambush predator, launching from perches or rocky ledges to surprise its prey in sudden, frantic attacks. On the ground, it could move about competently, using its strong hind limbs, making it a dual-threat hunter. Whether you were hiding in the undergrowth or swimming near the shore, Dimorphodon could reach you. Its body structure supports this dual lifestyle. Fossil reconstructions show powerful legs, long claws, and a tail stiffened by bony rods with a diamond-shaped vein at the tip, much like Rhamphorhynchus. This tail vein would have given it stability in flight, allowing it to twist and turn rapidly during short pursuits. In many ways, Dimorphodon combined the characteristics of a bat, a lizard, and a phantom bird, creating a predator that seemed stitched together from multiple designs. Based on how they behaved, Dimorphodon may have hunted along the coast and built their nests on rocks. Think of a group of these animals sleeping together. Their big heads stick out as they cling to rock walls. When it gets dark, they scream and jump into the air, their shapes flashing across the moon as they dive for food. If people had ever seen them, it would have been a scary sight that could have easily led to stories about devils with wings or monsters that looked like gargoyles. Dimorphodon is considered one of the finest pterosaurs, even though it is smaller than the big Cretaceous pterosaurs. Its oddly shaped body, flexible teeth, and bat-like flight give it a weird quality that makes it seem strange and scary, even compared to its relatives. In early Jurassic environments, it was a predator that was able to use spaces that other animals couldn't. And for us today, it's still proof that pterosaurs weren't just big flyers, but a very different group of animals that tried out different body shapes. Jeholopterus, the vampire pterosaur. There aren't many pterosaurs that make people think of creepy things as much as Jeholopterus. This small bat-sized flyer from the middle to late Jurassic, about 160 million years ago, was found in the fossil beds of Liaoning, China. It is often shown as harmless compared to its huge relatives. With wings that are only about a meter long, it doesn't seem like much. Still, some paleontologists and dinosaur fans have come up with a scary and controversial idea. Jeholopterus might have been a blood-sucking predator, a vampire from the Stone Age that terrorized the night skies. The ancient data is very compelling. Jeholopterus's jaws were very strong compared to those of most pterosaurs. They had small, sharp teeth that looked like fangs. These teeth didn't look like the very thin spikes that fishers use or the hard molars that shellcrackers use. Instead, they were great for holding on to skin. Its head was big compared to its body, which made me think it had a strong bite. Some reconstructions even show that its face is bowed, making it look a lot like a scary bat. Its big eyes, which may have helped it hunt in low light, give the impression of a creature that wasn't meant to fish during the day, but to sneak up on other animals at dusk or dawn. The vampire theory argues that Jeholopterus may have latched onto the hides of larger dinosaurs, piercing their skin with its sharp teeth to feed on blood or soft tissue. In this view, it would have acted much like a prehistoric mosquito or vampire bat, using stealth and agility to sneak up on its prey. The idea is supported by the fact that its claws were particularly well developed, ideal for clinging onto struggling animals. Imagine a sauropod resting near a forest clearing at dusk, only to feel a sudden sting as a leathery winged shadow clamps onto its hide and feeds unnoticed in the dim light. Of course, this interpretation is controversial. Other scientists argue that Jeholopterus may have simply eaten insects, small vertebrates, or soft-bodied prey. Its teeth could have been used for tearing flesh rather than piercing skin. Yet even this alternative does little to soften its nightmarish image. A small, agile predator swooping through forest canopies, ambushing lizards or mammals with a sudden strike, is still a terrifying prospect for anything sharing its habitat. Its wings make it look more ominous. Jeholopterus's wings were short and wide, which made it easy for it to move quickly through thick woods instead of flying long distances. This let it quickly jump between bushes and change directions while it sought. This was not like the big marine gliders. It was a creature of the dark, designed to sneak up on and catch people off guard. Early animals or snakes that were hiding in the bushes would have seen it as a ghostly blur that attacked before they could do anything. Preserved fossils also reveal details of its body covering. Like many pterosaurs, Jeholopterus bore cycnofibers, hair-like filaments that covered its body, giving it a fuzzy, mammal-like appearance. In life, this may have made it look even stranger. A small, furry-bodied reptile with leathery wings, huge eyes, and sharp fangs. The combination of bat-like traits and reptilian ancestry only fuels its reputation as the vampire pterosaur. Jeholopterus has been depicted in documentaries and paleo-art as a blood-drinking menace, clinging to the hides of massive dinosaurs under the cover of night. While we may never know for certain if it drank blood, the very plausibility of such a role in prehistoric ecosystems makes it one of the most nightmarish of all pterosaurs. Campylognathoides, the Jurassic speed demon. There were pterosaurs who played around with power, speed, and accuracy a long time before the feathered giants of the Cretaceous. An early predator called Campylognathoides terrorized the air over Europe about 180 million years ago in the early Jurassic. It was one of the most amazing birds of prey, not as big as the famous Quetzalcoatlus or Hatzegopteryx, but it was faster, which was a plus. Campylognathoides was a relentless flying hunter. Its wingspan was almost 3 meters, its teeth were very sharp, and it was very athletic. It may have been able to follow quickly in ways that no modern bird can match. Its wings tell much of the story. Fossil evidence shows that Campylognathoides had unusually long forelimbs, with robust wing bones that gave it both strength and flexibility. This design, paired with relatively short hind limbs, made it highly efficient in the air. Unlike some later pterosaurs that specialized in gliding, Campylognathoides seems to have been built for bursts of powered flight. Its wings were broad at the base and tapered toward the tips, a structure that would have allowed sudden changes in direction. Imagine a prehistoric falcon darting after prey with relentless pursuit. That's the role this creature may have filled. Its jaws were equally fearsome. Lined with sharp conical teeth, Campylognathoides was designed to seize fish or small vertebrates with precision. The front teeth angled forward, acting like grasping hooks, while the ones further back interlocked to hold prey tightly. For a small reptile, amphibian, or early mammal, escape from this airborne predator was nearly impossible. Once caught, the prey would be swallowed whole or torn into manageable pieces. Its hunting style likely combined ambush with high-speed pursuit, swooping down on unsuspecting prey or chasing them through the air in rapid bursts. The fossil record has a lot of informative data. Strong muscle attachments can be seen in the chest and shoulders of specimens that have been kept alive. This shows that it had the strength to take off quickly and flap its wings actively. Large pterosaurs relied on flying a lot, but Campylognathoides could move around in smaller places and may have hunted along coastlines, river valleys, or even forest clearings. Because it could change, it was a threat in many places. This animal could strike very quickly, whether you were a fish moving near the surface or a lizard relaxing on a rock. Its lifestyle may have been more complex than just solitary hunting. Some scientists speculate that smaller pterosaurs like Campylognathoides could have hunted in groups, much like flocks of modern birds of prey. If true, this would have made them even more terrifying, as coordinated attacks from multiple individuals could overwhelm prey in seconds. Imagine a squadron of leathery-winged hunters sweeping over a Jurassic lagoon, each darting in different directions until the water churned with panic. Another eerie feature was its long tail, stiffened with bony rods and ending in a diamond-shaped vein. This tail vein gave Campylognathoides exceptional stability, helping it track prey with precision while banking and turning at high speeds. In flight, the tail would have acted like a rudder, allowing sudden shifts in direction that made escape nearly impossible. For prey below, the sight of a silhouette with long wings and a stiff tail cutting through the air meant only one thing: death was seconds away. Unlike the giant pterosaurs, which often appear awkward on the ground, Campylognathoides was more agile, both in the air and on land. Its strong claws allowed it to climb and perch, waiting for the perfect moment to launch. Its toothy grin and piercing eyes would have given it a predatory look, more bat-like than bird-like. In twilight skies, a flock of these hunters would have seemed like a storm of flying shadows, each equipped with dagger teeth and unrelenting speed. Eudimorphodon, the toothed pioneer. We need to go back to the beginning of pterosaur development to understand how scary the skies could get. Eudimorphodon, a Triassic hunter that lived in what is now Italy about 210 million years ago, was one of the first animals to fly. Unlike the smoother, armless Cretaceous giants, this early pterosaur had a lot of weapons in its jaws. Its head was only 10 centimeters long and had almost 120 needle-like teeth packed into it. For the fish and small animals that lived in the Triassic waters, this was one of the first terrifying things that could fly: a lizard with a mouth shaped like a cage of knives. Its name, meaning true dimorphic tooth, reflects the unusual arrangement of its teeth. The jaws contained different shapes: larger fangs at the front for seizing prey, and smaller multi-cusped teeth at the back for shredding. This combination gave Eudimorphodon one of the most complex dentitions of any pterosaur, perfectly suited for gripping and processing slippery prey like fish. Fossilized stomach contents confirm this diet, revealing fish scales and bones preserved inside. To small Triassic animals, there was no mistaking its role. This was a predator designed to trap, hold, and consume with ruthless efficiency. Eudimorphodon's wingspan was modest by later standards, measuring around 1 meter, yet it was revolutionary in its time. With elongated wing fingers supporting leathery membranes, hollow bones for lightness, and a stiff tail for balance, it embodied the earliest blueprint of flight. While not as graceful as its descendants, it could glide above lakes and coastlines, swooping down to snatch prey in ways no reptile had done before. In this sense, it wasn't just a predator. It was a pioneer, the first step toward aerial dominance. Its long tail, ending in a diamond-shaped vein, acted as a stabilizer, allowing precise control in the air. Combined with its sharp teeth and quick reflexes, this made it a formidable hunter of aquatic ecosystems. Imagine being a small fish near the water's surface 210 million years ago. One moment the lagoon is calm, the next a shadow passes overhead, and jaws filled with over 100 teeth snap shut around you. To early Triassic life, Eudimorphodon was terror from above, a novel predator they had never faced before. Fossils of Eudimorphodon are exceptionally well preserved, giving paleontologists a detailed glimpse into its anatomy. Some specimens even include impressions of its wing membranes, showing that it had reinforced fibers to strengthen its flight surfaces. This means that even at the very dawn of pterosaur evolution, their wings were already sophisticated, capable of withstanding the stress of powerful flapping and gliding. For a first draft of flight, Eudimorphodon was astonishingly advanced. Its presence also shows a bigger truth about evolution. As soon as flight developed, it opened up new ways for predators to catch prey. Before birds and bats, Eudimorphodon and other birds like it ruled the air. It and other early pterosaurs ruled the skies for millions of years, eating fish and small animals with little competition. Not only was it a hunter, but it was also the first member of a family of flying predators that lived until the end of the Cretaceous. The sight of Eudimorphodon in flight must have been unnerving. Unlike the giants of later ages, it was small and bat-like, darting quickly above lakeshores with rapid wing beats. But its toothy grin gave it a monstrous look. In modern imagination, it would resemble something between a bat and a dragonfly, armed with rows of teeth glinting in the sun. To early mammals or reptiles scurrying nearby, its sudden dives would have been a nightmare, a creature appearing from nowhere, striking silently, then vanishing back into the sky. Ikrandraco, the dragon-like predator. Ikrandraco, a pterosaur whose name comes from a fiction story, is one of the few ancient animals that blurs the line between science and myth the most. Its name, Ikrandragon, comes from the flying creatures in the movie Avatar. It was found in China's Jiufotang Formation and is about 120 million years old. And for good reason. It looked nothing like any other pterosaur that is known. Its lower jaw had a strange keel-like crest, and its jaws were shaped like blades. With wings that were about 4.5 meters long, Ikrandraco looked like a dragon flying through the Cretaceous air. The keel-shaped crest that stuck out from Ikrandraco's lower mouth was its most noticeable trait. Other pterosaurs had fancy head crests that rose high above the skull. This one, on the other hand, was below the mouth and formed a sharp blade. Some theories say it might have been used to keep the animal steady while it flew low over water, or it could have been a show structure to get mates. Some experts even think that the crest might have held a soft tissue bag like a pelican's, which would have let Ikrandraco store fish after it caught them. If this is true, it would have made it one of the few pterosaurs that evolved a way of eating that looks a lot like how seagulls do today. Its jaws were equally specialized. Long, narrow, and lined with fine pointed teeth, they were perfectly designed for snatching fish from the water's surface. Fossil evidence places Ikrandraco in lake and river environments, where schools of fish would have been abundant. Imagine this predator soaring just meters above the water, dipping its blade-like lower jaw to skim the surface, then snapping its mouth shut to seize its prey. In that moment, the combination of speed, precision, and terrifying anatomy made it a true dragon of the skies. Unlike many of its flamboyant relatives, Ikrandraco's upper skull lacked an extravagant crest, giving it a sleeker, more streamlined appearance. This suggests it prioritized efficiency over display, evolving an aerodynamic profile suited for specialized hunting. Its very shape tells the story of a predator adapted to one niche, ruling the waterways from above. To fish and aquatic reptiles, the shadow of Ikrandraco gliding silently overhead must have been a constant, chilling presence. Its discovery in 2014 shook paleontology because it highlighted just how diverse pterosaurs truly were. For decades, reconstructions emphasized the giant, flamboyant species, but Ikrandraco proved that many lineages pursued subtle, specialized adaptations. It didn't need massive size to be frightening. Its strange jaw crest and dragon-like profile were enough to make it a nightmare for anything living in its environment. The name Ikrandraco adds another layer of eeriness. By connecting it to Avatar's fictional Ikran, scientists acknowledged how alien it looks compared to modern life. But unlike fantasy dragons, this one was real, gliding over lakes millions of years ago with a form that seems tailor-made for legend. It reminds us that evolution often produces designs stranger than any myth humans can invent. Situate yourself at dawn by a lake in the Cretaceous. In a split second, a shadow moves across the calm water, making a mist rise. A narrow head with a blade-like tip dips into the water and lightly skims over it before grabbing a fish that is running away. The hunter rises again and disappears into the clouds with a few beats of its tough wings. Seeing something like that would be like seeing a dragon at work, quiet, efficient, and scary. Coloborhynchus, the crocodile-beaked killer. What would happen if you mixed crocodile and pterosaur traits? It would look a lot like Coloborhynchus. This early Cretaceous hunter was one of the strangest and scariest birds of prey of its time. Fossils found in England were the first to describe it, and later fossils found in Brazil confirmed its identity. Coloborhynchus flying above the waves looked like a nightmare reptile. Its wings were almost 5 meters long, and its jaws were built in a way that no one else's did. Its jaws are its most infamous feature. The upper jaw extended forward in a sharp projection, lined with large conical teeth that curved inward, while the lower jaw carried its own set of outward-pointing teeth. This unusual arrangement gave its mouth the appearance of a crocodilian snout, complete with a terrifying grip-and-hold mechanism. Once a fish or reptile was caught between those jaws, escape was almost impossible. The forward-jutting teeth acted like hooks, while the interlocking rows created a cage of death. It is no wonder paleontologists gave it the ominous nickname of a crocodile-beaked killer. Coloborhynchus thrived along coastlines and shallow seas, patrolling hunting grounds where fish congregated. Its long, narrow wings were built for soaring, allowing it to glide efficiently over open water in search of prey. Once it spotted movement below, it would dive swiftly, jaws agape, and snap shut with precision. The hooked teeth ensured that even the slipperiest of fish couldn't wriggle away. Fossil evidence suggests it was not just an opportunist, but a highly specialized hunter, perfectly adapted for piscivory, the relentless pursuit of aquatic prey. Its design also raises the possibility of scavenging behavior. With jaws capable of gripping flesh firmly, Coloborhynchus may have contested carcasses along beaches or ripped at stranded marine life. Its powerful skull structure suggests it could exert significant force, enough to tear through prey or defend its catch from rivals. In ecosystems full of competition, from other pterosaurs to marine reptiles, this gave it a deadly edge. It's also breathtaking to see how the fossils are spread out. Coloborhynchus fossils have been found on 6 continents, from England to Brazil. This shows that it was widespread and powerful. This worldwide influence shows how flexible it was. It could take over a lot of different marine communities, doing well in places like the chalk seas in Europe and the lagoons in South America. Coloborhynchus could take to the air anywhere there were fish. Suppose the shape of a figure moving across the waves, its long wings leaving ripples on the water. As it sank, its jaws opened to show forward-thrusting teeth that sparkled in the light, making it look like a crocodile's jaws were hanging from the sky. There was no safe way out for the groups of fish below. Predators with wings and reptilian teeth were waiting both below and above the water. What makes Coloborhynchus especially nightmarish is how alien it feels compared to modern life. Birds may swoop and dive for fish today, but none possess jaws filled with hooks or the ability to trap prey with crocodile-like efficiency. This pterosaur reminds us that prehistoric skies were home to predators that blurred the line between forms we know, half crocodile, half dragon, wholly terrifying. This is the end of our trip through the scary skydwellers of the past. We've seen how evolution has made things stranger and scarier than any story, from Quetzalcoatlus, the giant that blocked the sun, to Coloborhynchus, the killer with a crocodile's beak. They were in charge of ecosystems and life on Earth for more than 150 million years. Monsters from Earth's past were so strange that they made dragons look like they were nothing. Their fossils tell us of this. Like, subscribe, and come back next time as we find even more spooky things from Earth's past that have been lost.